teach our students new English words like in every class and at the end of the course or the semester. Most of the students, of course not all of them, unfortunately forget these new terms. Let's go. I don't know the name of this activity, but let's call it the line. In this activity, you have to prepare nothing. All you gotta do is divide your class, no matter how big or small, into two groups. Ask the students to stand in two lines facing the board. On the board, you'll draw a line, and on top of that line, write these three rules without explaining anything. Lesson related, 3 points. Not related, 2 points. Misspelled, -point. I like to give the students a couple of minutes to let them try to guess what the game is, and then I fully expose my game. So you tell them, the first student standing on the line writes a word on the board. Let's say they wrote banana. Then they hand the pen to the student standing right after them and go to the back of the line. The second student must write a new word that ends with the last letter of the previous word. I think you get it by now. Let's say they wrote airplane. The second student gives the pen to the third and the third to the fourth and so on till the end of the line. If your class is small, I set a timer so students have to keep writing words till, for example, 2 minutes are over. Let's get back to the rules. Remember, this is a review activity, so obviously we have to review some words, right? So let's say the lesson was about food. If students write food-related words, they get 3 points for every word. But if they write words that are not food-related, they get 2 points. And the third rule is pretty obvious. If they misspell the word, they lose a point because, yes, we're reviewing vocabs, but also we want to make sure they remember how to write these new vocabulary words. You can replace food with any lesson you're teaching, like clothes, transportation, furniture, pretty much anything. So here we're encouraging the students to squeeze their brains to remember the words they've taken, and they're doing it while having fun, away from their chairs and books, working as a team, because at one point or another, they gotta help each other. At the end of the game, you have a little math class counting the points, and the line with the more points wins. What do they win? It's up to you. Activity 2 is Pictionary. It's a very popular game and I love it so much, and I thought, let's make it even more popular. Here you have to do one thing only, which is writing all new words that you've already taken on cards and spread them facing down on the table. So here we're having one category only. As an example, let's say being sick. I love to add some suspense, so I include a couple of cards that say lucky, which means you get a point without even trying, and another one with unlucky, and here they lose a point also without trying. I usually divide the class into 2 teams, but if it was a large class, then 3 or 4 groups. A student from the first team will pick a card and they have 20 seconds to draw the word on the card. If the first team gets the word before time is up, they get a point. And teams take turns till we finish reviewing all the words we want them to remember. This game is hilarious because not all students are born artists, and they'll laugh at their drawings. They'll get really upset if they get the unlucky card, and they'll try hard. It's so fun. I'm gonna call the third activity Close Your Books, or turn down your papers if your lesson is on papers. Like the first activity, all you gotta do is nothing. Books. With some groups, I ask them to even put their books down because they sneak peek, and this is not the point of this activity. After you make sure all books are closed or even down, tell them, I know you guys got the strongest memory ever and I believe in you. Therefore, you have 2 minutes to write down all of the occupations that we've just learned. First reaction is jaws dropping down, but after a couple of seconds, they start racking their brains to remember all of the new words. And because they've just learned these words, it's gonna be easier for them to remember the words and harder to be forgotten later on. My last activity is ring it or grab it first. For this activity, we need a table bell, or if it's not available, think of something students can grab, like a small ball or a yarn, or if you can't afford it, a piece of candy or chocolate would be great. You'll prepare a list of review questions, divide the class into 2 teams to get all students engaged. Ask one student of each team to come to your desk and face their counterpart. On the desk, place your table bell or your ball or your chocolate. Tell them you'll ask them a question, and the student who knows the answer must first ring the bell or grab the item and then say the answer. If they get it right, their team gets a point, and if you're going with the chocolate idea, then they just get the chocolate. And repeat the exact thing with the rest of the students. Try to vary your questions. My favorite is when I ask them to name 3 things, like name 3 appliances we've just learned, name 3 types of shoes, name 3 pieces of furniture. And sometimes after I've asked like 4 or 5 questions from their book, I like to trick them and ask them a very random, not lesson related question, like what did you have for dinner yesterday, or what's your best friend's name, something like that. That's pretty it. I hope you find these lazy teacher vibe activities useful.